I have a question. And I got to be careful how I phrase this, but here it is. Is Evan gay? Now, before anybody starts getting little clips of this and sending it over to HR, let me explain. And when I say gay, I'm using the traditional definition of the word. Happy, jovial, carefree, merry, chipper. I am making absolutely no statement whatsoever about this man's sexual orientation. I'm strictly talking about his disposition, and lately, this motherfucker is gay as hell. Every time I talk to Evan, he's upbeat, he's pleasant, he's encouraging, and it's fucking disgusting. Nobody should be this happy in August. We haven't even drafted yet. I texted him to tell him some league bullshit, and he's like, hell yeah, brother, can't wait. Calm the fuck down, Doris Day. This dude's been absolutely radiant lately. I haven't seen this much unexplained joy since Pharrell put that fucking hat on. Meanwhile, the rest of us are arguing about keepers, draft position, what 31-year-old receiver can still has something left in the tank, and Evan's over here just like whistling while he works. So I'm not saying Evan is gay. I'm asking whether Evan is gay. Let's look at the evidence. Happy, check. Lighthearted, check. Merry, check. Carefree, check. Chipper is a motherfucker, check, 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 check. This is an open and shut Webster's case, and at this point, I don't need to know who Evan sleeps with. I need to know what antidepressants he's taking. So after a thorough investigation, I've reached my conclusion, yes, Evan is gay. Possibly the gayest man in the Players Club tour. Webster's definitions for legal purposes. Congratulations, Evan. Live your truth. Be merry.
Why? The Players Club tour. Check the tape, make the move. The Tuesday morning rave, why? It's calling out your name. One bad injury can really change the game. I'm looking at the stats, I'm digging through the depth. I'm counting every yard and every single breath. The Players Club is ready, boys are talking trash. Better set your roster before you feel the crash. Plug it in, wire it up. Ready to go for the Players Club. The wire, the wire. Make the train, get the ring. Listen close for the news I bring. The wire, the wire.
Yeah, boy, rev it up. Rev it up. Welcome to The Wire. Thanks for getting back. I know it's been a little hectic last about 10, 11, 12, maybe 2 weeks almost, right? We're getting at it. Been a little sick, and I think it's mainly allergies. Nothing to be, too stressed out about, but did kind of cut into some of my free time, unfortunately, recovering from that. And then I've been watching some of this preseason. After the Hall of Fame game, suddenly I just wasn't as amped with no more Haynes King. I mean, I was all in on the Haynes King, but I don't know. I found it a little lackluster. Panthers, I think after they got just beat down by the Bills, and then they actually looked good against Jacksonville. So kudos. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, there's, it's best part of the year. Baseball season's winding down. Football's ramping up. Summer's over. Fall's here, guys. But anyway, didn't have too much intro-wise. I'm excited to get this day going, get this game going, get this show going. Before we get into league business, I want to give a quick shout out to the folks over at Limbo Montgomery Dentistry. Apparently, some of their staff have started subscribing to The Wire, and I am genuinely appreciative of that. But I want to make something very clear. Just because businesses are starting to recognize The Wire doesn't mean we're suddenly going to start selling out for corporate greed. Look, we have standards here. I mean, sure, Limbo Montgomery provides outstanding dental care. But I'm not going to compromise the integrity of our show, right? Just to simply support a local business, right? Just not going to just compromise everything I do to support a local business. That's crazy, right? I wouldn't do that, not for cash or anything. The Wire's way too important. And while their business delivers the most beautiful smiles there is, what am I supposed to do, you know? Just tastes better out of a glass. There's no way I would ever sell out. Okay? We're not doing this for the money, okay? And the free products. Understood? We're doing it because we support the business. Because we support the people. The dentistry. They might as well be optometrists because they're easy on the eye too. Cheers. All right, let's get down to some league business. This part of the show is going to be fairly quick. All we're talking about is getting them dues to Drewby. He makes sure that everyone gets paid. Let's get him paid. Get this taken care of. $200 to Drewby. Should all have his number. I'm going to pop a Venmo on the screen and a PayPal. And if you've got to actually mail it to him, just drive it over to him. I mean, it's like every year, grown men who completely understand the concept of the league fee acts like they're waiting from an invoice from accounts payable. It's not happening. Pay the man and let's move on. If you won't listen to this rapper, maybe you'll listen to this rapper. Hit it.
What up, party people on the Players Club tour? Commish Glenn Goodell's got a question. You ever have $1,200 in your hand? Yeah, well, you won't have a chance to get that if you don't send in your dues ASAP. Come on. I say, if you have $1,200, y'all, it's time to get the dues in. Okay, ASAP. ASAP, you got to get them into Drewby. Okay, the dues are $200. 200 smackaronis. However, check out what you're going to get. First place could be 1,200. It's not quite 150 grand, but it's something. Second place gets $400. And third place gets $150. And the playoff bonus is $50. And the week high is $25. I don't even know what that means, but the commissioner, Glenn Goodell, wants you to know that. So get your dues in. You can do this. Have a great season.
All right, guys, we're back. I've got an exciting new addition to The Wire that I'm going to incorporate every week, and we're calling it Survivor Wire. So our good friends down at Conley's Irish Pub on 5th Street in Charlotte, North Carolina, have this Survivor pool every year, and it keeps growing and growing. And last year, I can't remember how many people were in, 30, 45, something. $25 entry fee, and it's simple. You pick one team, and if they win, then you advance. If you lose, you're done. It's over. Whoever is the last man standing gets the entire pool, from my understanding. I believe that's how it works. But you only get to use a team once. So, you just can't go Bills, Rams, Bills, Rams, Bills, Rams every other week. Doesn't work like that. So you got to be strategic. All right. So I'm going to put this up here on the screen. All right. Now, there's a QR code there. I'm going to leave it up here for a second for you guys to zap your phone. I think it'd just be a nice little wrinkle, an addition. This is a small entry fee for a massive payday. I mean, 4 people alone, it's $100, right? It's $25 to get in. Well, I know currently there's already 40 people in there. So I am not a smart man, but I think that's $1,000. It's going to be fun. And I'm going to cover it until it ends. So if it ends week 7, we're done with it. If it's still going week 14, hell, we'll still be talking about it. Hopefully, it ends week 7 and I win it and I get all the monies. And yeah, I'll buy everybody a beer at Conley's if you were in the league. All right, we're back. I wanted to do the wire index, bring it back. Last week we had the conversations, which was phenomenal, by the way. I think everybody truly enjoyed it. It went really long, and it was a blast. And there was so much you guys probably didn't even see. I had to cut out, and I'm actually probably going to put together a little remix or something so you could see the second half of the conversation. Some of it was hilarious, but we just wasn't enough time. So I'll try to put that back. But anyway, the wire index. I want to talk about some people like we did last time. 3 players specifically that are moving up and down draft boards. The first one that I want to bring up is yours truly, Jonathan Brooks. This guy, the hype is real and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Jonathan Brooks might be the most hyped player of all time. Honestly, and seriously, it is kind of bizarre because, he started the preseason game last week, went for, 40 yards, got his first NFL touchdown. It was really cool to see, and happy for him. And he obviously played with stars. Now Chuba's hurt, but it is bizarre because opening up the season, Chuba was like a 6th round pick or something, as far as average draft position. And Jonathan Brooks was like 100 and I want to say 20th. He's jumped all the way up to damn near the 6th round, and Chuba has fallen to the 10th round. It's crazy. I still think that Chuba's going to start, but maybe I'm the odd one out. I mean, if you said split backfield, I could get down with that. I just don't know if Jonathan Brooks is going to like jump all the way up there, but the guy he's to the moon. That's for sure. So if you were drafting like Scotty J, however you were going to do it, I don't know if Chuba's the backup or Jonathan Brooks is the backup, but I know that you're going to have to get Brooks in the 5th round most likely. And that's no joke. I mean, I know that Belt said he's grabbing him, so Belt, go ahead and chalk up one of them 5th rounders to old Jonathan Brooks. Next guy I want to talk about is wide receiver over in Chicago, and that is the 2nd-year standout Luther Burden. He broke on last year at the end of the year. Obviously had DJ Moore ahead of him and Rome Odunze on the other side, but now DJ Moore has been traded to the Bills. Go DJ Moore, happy for him. Finally got him a great quarterback. Well, I guess Caleb was too, but he didn't seem too bought into the system last year. And the one Bills highlight he had when he caught the ball from, whoever, he's running right at our DB telling him to come get him. Well, anyway, it's not about DJ Moore. It's about Luther Burden. Luther Burden is considered the number 1 receiver, which again is perplexing to me because you have Rome Odunze there, who is now going into his 3rd year. He was in full breakout mode last year. Like him and Jackson Smith and Jigba looked almost hand in hand. And then he had a little injury. You got DJ Moore, Burden, all of a sudden then Colston Loveland starts catching passes and becomes more a part of the offense. But with Ben Johnson there in Chicago, they have like slated Luther Burden into the Amon-Ra St. Brown role from Ben Johnson's Lions days. And I think that's crazy because I'm looking at Odunze going, man, I'd take Odunze too, but maybe I'm missing something. But he is flying up the boards. I've seen him go late fourth, early fifth, but a lot of hype, young, talented, in a great system. He's got a great quarterback, got a good supporting cast, so he's going to be getting single coverage. So, and he's faster than Rome. So, I think that's it. Maybe maybe he is due for a big year. It's crazy, but so that price tag is steep, y'all. Steep, steep, steep. All right, third player I want to talk about quickly is a tight end, and he's over there in Buffalo, and it's Dalton Kincaid. Now, this guy had, the last couple years up and down, but he's had to deal with some injuries. And he also has had to deal with not a true number one receiver. Like, who was the number one receiver last year? Now that Dalton Kincaid has a supporting cast with DJ Moore and James Cook is obviously, come into his own, it seems like the door's going to be open a little bit more for Kincaid. Now, the tight end class is kind of, I think it's pretty even. I don't, the top three guys are the top three guys, but guys 4 through 12 seem to be, I don't know, any one of them could hit. So, and Dalton Kincaid's coming off right there at tight end 12, tight end 13, 14. I mean, if you miss out on a tight end and that's the guy you got to roll with, a healthy Dalton Kincaid to start the season, sign me up. I'm with it. All right, let's do an old head alert. Apparently, there's Players Club Tour has become a fucking retirement community. We've got people talking themselves into Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs. Look, these aren't sleepers. These are men with preferred pharmacy networks. Look, I'm telling you firsthand because I owned all these guys last year. They were all on my team. I didn't set it out that way. I saw a little something, but look, Keenan Allen's 34. Stephon Diggs is 32. Deebo is 30. They've all been on multiple teams now, and some back with their first team. Keenan went back, and then Deebo went back, and it'd be great to see Stephon back in Minnesota, right? But I don't know if he's allowed in that state anymore. I'm not sure, but either way, you're not drafting these guys on what they got left in the tank. You're drafting them on name recognition, and I understand that. And the thing is once those slim pickings rounds come, you're going to start looking for people It's almost best to go with a guy you don't know because these guys have had their time on SportsCenter. Deebo, maybe. He's going to have some great plays throughout the course of the season. Is he a wide receiver one anymore? He hasn't been since 2021, guys. That was 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Keenan Allen, he had some great games last year. 2 out of the first 3 games of the year were, roughly 20% of his entire stats. That was crazy, 30% of his entire stats for the season, and it looked amazing. It looked like he had found the, fountain of youth, but he hadn't. He was just 33, and now he's 34. And Stephon Diggs had 4 kids last year by 4 different women. I see why he's going back to work. But don't draft these guys. Come on. Keenan Allen doesn't even have an ADP. He has an AARP. Stephon Diggs is 1 hamstring away from doing a reverse mortgage commercial with Tom Selleck, I believe. And Deebo's fantasy profile at this point should just say, previously seen on NFL Red Zone. I'm not saying these guys can't play. It's just not 2021 anymore. Okay? So when you see them still available in the 14th round, there's a reason. It's time to move on. Just let it go. Just keep going. Like every week, it's time for the top 5.
This week's top 5.
All right. Before we do this week's top 5, this one's going to be a little different. We lost Dolly Parton this week at 80 years old. I don't care if you love country music, you hate country music, you grew up in Tennessee, or you grew up listening to Wu-Tang Clan. Everybody fucking like Dolly Parton. She was a singer, she was a songwriter, actress, businesswoman, philanthropist, Dollywood, humanitarian. Just one of the best people who seemed to transcend whatever box you wanted to put her in. She was absolutely fantastic, and I always remember growing up and, being somebody who was born in Tennessee, and families from there, and, we spent a lot of times in the mountains in and around Pigeon Forge, Gallenberg, Sevierville area where she grew up. It was always playing. She definitely had, several songs on the soundtrack to my childhood, if you will. So I wanted to do my top 5 Dolly Parton songs. So coming in at number 5, Here You Come Again. This is a classic Dolly song. It's one of those songs that when you hear about 3 seconds of, you immediately know who it is. It's a great fucking record. And it's kind of, I feel like it transcended into a bunch of commercials, things of that nature. But it was still a good one, and I think it's proper placement for number 5. Number 4 is definitely Islands in the Stream with Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. Peak Kenny, peak Dolly. 2 people with enough hair to insulate a 3-bedroom ranch. I mean, the fun fact about this song was it was actually written by the Bee Gees, which kind of gives it, if you go back and listen to it, it's yacht rock. That's really what it is. It was their stab at a yacht rock type song, and it absolutely worked. They won all sorts of awards. They were constantly playing together, and they had great chemistry, the 2 of them. And I don't even know how it really makes sense, but it's a great song. I love it. Number 3, I have Jolene. It's probably the most iconic Dolly song of all time, and I've always appreciated Dolly's strategy here. She doesn't really go after the man. She goes directly to Jolene and basically says, listen, bitch, you can have anybody you want, and please leave this mediocre motherfucker alone. That's hers. But, Dolly is describing her flaming locks of auburn hair, ivory skin, emerald eyes, beautiful smile. Dolly, are you sure you don't want to be Jolene? But anyway, well, I love the song. I think it's probably going to be number 1 for a lot of people, but I've got 2 other ones. I think the other one, number 2, I have I Will Always Love You. And again, I think you could argue that number 1. But before Whitney Houston turned this into one of the greatest vocal performances ever, Dolly fucking wrote it. And Dolly's original version is completely different. Whitney brought her own, definitive performance to it. But the song, that's Dolly's. And I love that version too. It's just an incredibly sweet song. And that was written, I think, in the same day as Jolene. They were those 2 songs she wrote in, who knows, an hour and a half or something like that. And then there's another crazy part of that story is that Elvis came along and wanted to record that song. And she was a huge Elvis fan. Who wasn't? They were going to let Elvis do it. And it came down to Colonel Tom Parker basically wanted part of the publishing. He said he wanted 50% of the publishing. And then Dolly said no. And that took a lot of balls at the time. I mean, at that time, Dolly wasn't Dolly who we know her as today. She was still an emerging star, and Elvis was the star, the biggest and brightest star. And she turned him down. And it was a good thing she did that. Yeah, so she wouldn't give up the song. And so anyway, regardless, with how that worked with the Whitney version for The Bodyguard, she still retained all the publishing. So the amount of money that she made off of Whitney's version like far exceeded like any of her other songs or anything that she'd ever did, and crushed it. And that's how you get Dollywood and all of the wonderful things she did, going to children's hospitals and giving millions. There was, I think it was in 2016, there was a huge fires in the Smoky Mountains in the Gatlinburg area, and she gave out $12 million to people who had lost their homes. All sorts of just insanely philanthropic things that Dolly did. A lot of that money came from that Whitney version, but she wrote it and she published it, and she kept that publishing away from Elvis, and good for her. Number one, it's 9 to 5, dude. Dolly somehow wrote a song about the soul-crushing monotony of corporate employment. Yeah, that shit made you like sound like you're about to have the best Tuesday of your life. Tumble out of bed and I tumble in the canyon. Myself a cup of... Look, you hear that first thing and it's like you're in. And then, the movie too, right? We got Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Dolly. It's catchy, it's funny, it's pissed off. And it's 40 years later, everybody knows it. And she was a star. And I don't even think she was essentially set to originally star in that, but that was part of the deal for the song and the whole thing. And it just worked. And she worked. And she's damn near perfect human, right? So, Dolly Parton, songwriter, singer, actress, businesswoman, philanthropist, American icon. Hell of a run. Rest easy, Dolly. And Dolly actually gives us the perfect bridge into Real Deals, because in 1982 she starred opposite a man named Burt fucking Reynolds, which brings us to this week's Real Deal, the Cannonball Run. Yes. 1981, the Cannonball Run. I loved this movie growing up. I don't even know what I knew if I knew what I was watching. I don't know if it was because of Matchbox cars or, the toys or, just Burt Reynolds. But either way, I love the whole idea of them in this race. And I watch it every time, and then I kind of forgot about it for years. And later on, and I think in high school, I saw it again, and I was just like, oh yeah, I love that movie growing up. And then when I start doing research for these Real Deals and trying to think of really nostalgic movies that really bring back something, emotionally for me, I'm like, I'm stumbling around, I'm looking, and there's always great candidates, but no, I pulled this and then I watched it again. This was just a week ago. I watched this movie and it was better than I remember it. Even better. So let's start with the fucking cast. I mean, honestly, this was like, there's like movies and then there's like great cast and then there's Cannonball Run, right? It's like the who's who of being famous in 1981, and they got everybody. They got Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, Farrah Fawcett, Roger Moore, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Terry Bradshaw, and Jackie Chan was in this movie. I didn't even realize that was Jackie Chan until I watched it again a week ago. I mean, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, is Jackie Chan in Cannonball Run? I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think it. But no, he's absolutely in it, and he's awesome. And yeah, this is a 1981 celebrity phone book. Burt Reynolds at this point isn't just a movie star. He's basically the physical embodiment of being cool in 1981. He's got a mustache. He's got the Trans Am. He's got women. He's always driving too fast. His shirt's always half buttoned down. And nobody's ever looked more comfortable violating interstate traffic laws. This guy was that guy. He owned at least the first half of the 80s, I'll tell you. Late 70s, like 77, 85, that was a hell of a run for Burt Reynolds. But then there's the car, right? So obviously, well, let me go back to the movie a little bit. So the premise is there's a secret race, and they are trying to get from New York to LA in the quickest amount of time. And whoever gets that, there's cash prize, all the spoils go to the victor. But everybody's coming up with different, ideas on how, the best vehicle and so on and so forth. And so like Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise are partnering up, and they decide to get like an EMT van, and so they're thinking that, oh, we can just turn the lights on and go through every light and nobody will ask questions or anything like that. And then you've got, there's a Ferrari, there's Corvette, and then you've got the rednecks that are in the big truck, and then you got the, Jackie Chan and the Asian contingent who they, of course appropriated and put them in a Subaru with all this like technology and everything. But the car was the Lamborghini Countach, which might be the best car of all time. In particular, that Lamborghini Countach. So that opening sequence alone probably caused an entire generation of boys to put a Lamborghini poster on their bedroom wall. This is what you were buying at the book fair. That poster, that Lamborghini Countach. I still think it's better than the current versions, to be honest with you. Yeah. Yeah, it was completely impractical. The funniest part about the Countach is some people were talking about this Countach in this race and in general, and it's like it made no sense because the Countach gets something like 8 miles to the gallon of gas. So you would have had to constantly be stopping. I mean, it could go, 150 miles very fast. But then you're completely stopping. There was absolutely no storage space in a Countach. I'm not sure if anybody's aware. There's a trunk space. It's about the size of a tackle box. And if you had two people in there, so I don't know if you're planning on packing a bag, just wearing the same thing. But yeah, that Countach was killer. And still on my, still on my wish list. Okay. But here's the craziest thing. This is what Cannonball Run becomes the perfect real deal movie, is because this is a basic idea behind this ridiculous movie. Like, this actually happened. So the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash was a real outlaw cross-country race. New York to California, public roads, no closed course, no sanctioned racetrack, just people trying to get across the United States as fast as humanly possible. And it was also in protest. So at this time, pre-1980, essentially, it was 55 miles an hour was the max speed limit across the country. And they were a lot of people were protesting about this. So this actual race goes back until the early 70s, and some of the premier guys and car and driver, some of their field test agents and stuff like that were people who actually organized this race. And it wasn't just anybody could be part of it. You had to actually, like, they had to know you. You had to be vetted. They had to check your vehicle, because at the end of the day, they didn't want anybody getting hurt. And as the years went on, the supercar was created. This is when you start to see the Ferraris and things of this nature, like, just get so souped up and amped up. But it was, I want to say, in 1978. Rich guy shows up and he has this Lamborghini, and that's when they decided to shut the race down, because the organizer said at this point somebody was going to get killed, because this guy, although he was extremely rich, was not the best driver, and the car was so powerful that you could just flip that thing on a dime, like, if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, a lot of again, with the Countach, it didn't even have power steering. So imagine going 160 miles an hour and something pop out and you try to cut that wheel. Yeah, you're dead. Anyway, Hollywood didn't invent Cannonball Run. People actually did this shit, and that's why it works. It's awesome. It's fast paced. It's just nonstop, and it's really cool. It's a great rewatch. It's only about 90 minutes long. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 reels. Yeah, and do the jokes work? No, not really. Does plot matter? No. But you got Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. Roger Moore is so funny. He's making fun of himself as you got Roger Moore making fun of himself as 007 throughout the entire thing, and it just works. Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. are dressed as priests, and they're drunks, and it's hilarious. Terry Bradshaw, I don't even know how he gets in it. I mean, I don't know. And one of the funniest parts was the Lamborghini. It was the two girls who were in it, and they kept getting pulled over, and every time they would get pulled over, they'd zip their shirt down a little bit and show a little of this, and then finally at the end they get pulled over, and finally they get all ready and zipped up, and the cop comes down, and then it's a female cop, and she's already got her stuff down too, like they met their match. But anyway, that's the real deal. All right, y'all, let's wrap it up here. What did we learn today? We learned Evan is gay. Webster's definition, okay? We learned Limbo Montgomery Dentistry has absolutely not purchased the integrity of this program. Get your fucking dues to Drewby. Get into the Connolly Survivor pool. Stop drafting people because you remember them from fantasy seasons long ago. Rest easy to the great Dolly Parton. And if you're going to illegally race across the continental United States, apparently do it in a Lamborghini Countach. Or maybe don't, We made arguments either way. We'll see you next time. It's Commish Glenn Goodell. This is the fucking wire.
Why? The Players Club tour. Check the tape, make the move. The Tuesday morning raver, why? It's calling out your name. One bad injury can really change the game. I'm looking at the stats, I'm digging through the depth. I'm counting every yard and every single breath. The Players Club is ready, boys are talking trash. Better set your roster before you feel the crash. Plug it in, wire it up. Ready to go for the Players Club. The wire, the wire. Make the train, get the ring. Listen close for the news I bring. The wire, the wire. Got a 3-team deal on the table tonight. Giving up a superstar to make a flex right. Buy low, sell high, that's the way we live. Take everything they got, leave nothing left to give. From the first round pick to the sleeper on the bench. We're digging in the dirt, we're grinding in the trench. Plug it in, wire it up. Ready to go for the Players Club. The wire. Trade, get the ring. Listen close for the news I bring. The wire, wire. Who's next on the list? The wire, 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 wire. Who's next on the list? The wire. The Players Club. Stay tuned.